Hello, my dear children. We have discussed some topics of chapter 1, that is, where, when, and how, the medieval period in India, in the previous video, that is part 1. Today I am back to discuss the same chapter in part 2. Let us have an overview. In the previous video, we discussed about the introduction part that was medieval period of India. In this video, we are going to discuss about the impact of geography on history and a little about the subcontinent and the terms that are used to describe the Indian subcontinents. Children, in previous video of this chapter, part 1, we discussed about the conditions in North India and South India in the beginning of medieval period, that is 647 CE, when Emperor Harshvardhan died. In North India, many independent kingdoms were fighting with each other. Taking advantage of this, many tribes and dynasties from Central Asia entered and attacked India from northwest directions and established big empire in India. After discussing the historical reasons which helped the invader means we discussed about the invaders, different dynasties like Turkish dynasties and Mongol dynasties that entered our country, which helped the invaders to enter India. There were some geographical reasons also. The geographical location of India played a significant role in the development of history of India. So let's see the impact of geography on Indian subcontinent. First of all, we will talk about the impact of geography in North India. You can see the given map in the video. Himalayan mountain ranges. In North India has a Himalayan mountain ranges. It stretches from over 2575 kilometers from west to east from north of India. This Himalayan mountain ranges cut off Indian subcontinents from the rest of Asia. The great Himalayas in the north always acted as a barrier. Barrier means wall. Barrier against the foreign invaders. But the mountain passes like the Khyber and the Bolan allowed the travelers and the invaders to enter India through the northwest. The rivers in the northern plains helped in the settlement of the invaders, and many cities and towns developed in these plains. The cities and the towns located on the northern plains where the Ganga and the Yamuna and other rivers flowed became the center of great significance for many empires. So children, let us see what was the impact of geography of South India on the history of India. As I have discussed in the first part of the video, that the south of India remained unaffected with the activities going on in the north part of India. In south part of India, several kingdoms like Cholas and Rashtrakutas were very happy and prosperous kingdoms. And the reason of this prosperity and happiness was their geographical features of South India. In southern regions, the Vindhyas and the Satpuras acted as a barrier for the invaders. These mountain ranges discouraged the Turks and the Mongols and other invaders to enter the south part of India. Several kingdoms had a very long coastline. Southern kingdoms like Cholas had very long coastline extending at least we can say 5422 kilometers. And because of this, long coastlines, they were able to form a strong naval army. And the second thing is, due to this powerful naval armies, they were able to establish big empires across the Indian Ocean. For example, we can take number one is the island of Sri Lanka, and number two, the islands of Indonesia. So, children, what do you understand by the word Indian subcontinent? You can see the map. It is showing India and its neighboring countries. We can see India, Pakistan, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. So we can say that India, along with all its neighboring countries, are collectively known as the subcontinents. So, children, let's come to the main topic. The topic is terms that are used to describe the Indian subcontinent. The Indian subcontinent has been known by the various names. From that, number one is during the Vedic ages, the Indian subcontinent was known as Sapta Sindhu, or we can also use the same. Sapta Sindhu means the land of seven rivers. You can see a small map in which you can see the names of the seven rivers, and the names of the seven rivers are first Indus, second Jhelum, third Chenab, fourth Ravi, fifth Beas, sixth Satluj, and seventh is Saraswati. So all these rivers are included, and that is the reason subcontinent is also known as the land of seven rivers. Second, in the holy book of ancient Persians, that is Zend Avesta, India is referred to as Hapta Hindu. In Sanskrit we know it is known as Sapta Sindhu, but in Persian it is known as Hapta Hindu, where we can say in Sanskrit the word S is been replaced by H. The next theory says the word Hindu was derived from a Sanskrit word Indu. Indu was another word in Sanskrit for Soma. Soma was a drink of the Vedic people, and that drink was offered to the gods at the time of rituals, worship, or we can say puja. After offering the worship, prayers, and performing the rituals, this drink was drunk by the people and they were blessed by it. Second point is, after the coming of Aryans, the North India became to be known as Aryavrata, or the land of Aryans. India was also known as Bharatvarsha, or the land of Bharat. Bharata, the son of King Dushyanta in our mythical literatures. It is believed that he was the king who ruled the whole country. So it was known as Bharata. The next theory, it is said according to the Arabic or the Persian literature, Indian subcontinent is referred as Hind, and the people residing there are known as Hindus. According to the Greeks, they called this land Indica, which got its modern name India. So this was all for today. Children, I hope you all understood each and everything. In the next video, we will discuss about the sources, that are literary sources, and some archaeological sources like buildings, monuments, inscription, paintings, etc. So, thank you.